The ancient starship, whispered Dawn, drifted through the cold emptiness of space, its hull scarred by countless years of neglect. Inside the dying vessel, Commander Velthanor pressed his pale, glowing hand against the cracked viewport and watched. His homeworld of Kethfer grow smaller in the distance. The planet's dying sun cast everything in sickly orange light, and he knew this might be the last time any of his people would see their ancestral home. The Ketheri had not always been outcasts. Once, they had been healers, their touch bringing comfort to the sick and wounded across many worlds. But that was before the plague, before the desperate choices, before the galaxy learned to fear them. Commander, the navigation system is failing, called Chief Navigator Ithmea from her station. Her voice carried the musical quality all Cathari possessed, but now it trembled with worry. We have maybe 6 hours before complete system shutdown. Vel closed his eyes and felt the familiar weight of leadership. He had volunteered for this mission, knowing it was likely a death sentence. The Galactic Coalition had made sure of that when they quarantined his people 3,000 years ago. Number trade, no contact, no mercy. The Cathari were left to watch their civilization crumble, while the rest of the galaxy moved forward without them. The research mission had been their last hope. If they could find new energy sources or make contact with unknown species beyond Coalition space, perhaps they could save what remained of their dying culture. Instead, they found only darkness and the slow failure of technology too old to repair. Sir, I'm detecting something, Ithmea said suddenly, her bioluminescent skin brightening with excitement. An energy signature. Unknown configuration. Velt moved to her station, his footsteps echoing in the nearly empty bridge. Most of their crew had stayed behind on Kethfer, choosing to die with dignity on their homeworld rather than drift helplessly through space. Only 12 Cathari had volunteered for this final journey. Show me, he commanded. The display screen flickered to life, showing sensor readings that made no sense. The energy pattern was artificial, clearly technological, but unlike anything in their databases. More importantly, it was broadcasting, not random noise or natural phenomena, but an organized signal that repeated every few minutes. It's a greeting, whispered Dr. Sothara, their chief medical officer. She had joined them from her bed, too weak from the wasting disease that plagued their people to stand properly. Someone is saying hello. Light years away from the struggling Cathari vessel, Dr. Kim Jin-ho sat in the observation deck of Luna Station, drinking his 3rd cup of coffee and staring at the stars. Earth's deep space monitoring array had been his project for 5 years, a network of sensors designed to detect signs of alien life. So far, they had found nothing but cosmic background radiation and the occasional asteroid. Jin-ho, you need to see this, called Dr. Park Min-ha from the control room. Her voice carried an urgency that made him spill coffee on his uniform. He rushed to her workstation, where strange patterns danced across multiple screens. The signal was weak, distorted by distance and interference, but the mathematical structure was unmistakable. This was not natural. This was artificial. This was alien. How long have we been receiving this? Jin-ho asked, his heart racing. About 20 minutes. But Jin-ho, there's something else. The signal is changing, getting weaker. I think whatever is sending it is dying. Jin-ho studied the readings, his mind racing through possibilities. First contact protocols demanded they report to Earth Command immediately. But those protocols assumed they would have time to prepare, to study, to make careful decisions. This signal spoke of desperation and imminent death. Prep the rescue shuttle, he ordered. If someone is dying out there, we help them. We figure out the politics later. Are you insane? Min-ha grabbed his arm. We don't know what they are. They could be dangerous. Jin-ho looked at her with steady eyes. Then we'll be careful. But we won't be cowards. The Soul's Hope launched from Luna Station 12 hours later, its small crew of volunteers led by engineer Lee Dong-yuk. As they jumped to hyperspace, following the fading alien signal. None of them realized they were about to encounter the galaxy's most feared species. Aboard the dying Cathari ship, Velthanar felt his vessel's life support systems failing one by one. The air grew thin and cold. Emergency lighting flickered and died. Around him, his crew prepared for death with the quiet dignity their people had maintained even in exile. "Commander," Ithmaya said softly, "I'm detecting a ship. It's following our signal." Velthanar's pale eyes widened. In 3,000 years of quarantine, no one had ever come to help a Cathari vessel in distress. The galaxy had made it clear that his people were monsters, parasites, soul-devouring nightmares that civilized beings avoided at all costs. "Are they coalition?" he asked. "No, sir. The energy signature is completely unknown. And Commander, they're broadcasting something." The message was simple, transmitted in mathematical concepts that any intelligence could understand. It spoke of rescue, of help, of beings who had heard their cry and chosen to answer. As the human shuttle approached the dying alien vessel, two species who had never met prepared for an encounter that would change the galaxy forever. The docking tube connected with a metallic clang that echoed through both ships. Engineer Lee Dong-yuk checked his equipment one final time before stepping into the unknown. Behind him, Dr. Park Min-ha carried her medical scanner and a portable translator that might not work at all. They were about to meet aliens for the first time in human history, and nobody had prepared them for this moment. The airlock opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. The air that flowed out carried strange scents, like flowers mixed with ozone. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows down the corridor ahead, and everything seemed too quiet. "Hello?" Dong-yuk called out, his voice echoing strangely. "We received your distress signal. We're here to help." A figure appeared at the end of the corridor, moving slowly and carefully. As it came closer, Min-ha gasped softly. The being was humanoid, but clearly alien. Its skin was pale and translucent, showing faint patterns of light beneath the surface. Large, dark eyes watched them with a mixture of hope and fear. "You came," the alien said, in accented but understandable English. The translator device was working, converting their musical language into human speech. "We did not think anyone would come." Commander Velthanor approached the humans cautiously. His people had been called monsters for so long that he expected these strangers to run in terror once they understood what the Cathari truly were. Instead, the human female stepped forward with her medical scanner active. "You're injured, Doctor," Park Min-ha observed, noting the readings on her device. "Your life signs are weak. How many others are aboard?" 11 of my crew remain alive," Velthanor replied, "but we are dying slowly. Our ship fails, and we have little time left." Engineer Lee Dong-yuk was already examining the corridor walls, noting the failing power systems and deteriorating life support. "We can transfer your people to our ship," he said. "Our medical bay can help." "You do not understand," Velthanar said sadly. "We are Cathari. Your galaxy knows us as soul devourers. When you learn what we are, you will leave us to die, as all others have done." Dr. Park Min-ha frowned at her scanner readings. "Soul devourers? That's impossible. These readings show you're empathic healers. Your biology is designed to share and balance life energy, not consume it." For the first time in centuries, hope flickered in Velthanor's eyes. "You can see this. Your instruments can detect our true nature." "Of course," Min-ha replied. "The energy patterns are clear. You don't drain life force. You redistribute it. This is advanced medical technology built into your biology." Back on Luna Station, Dr. Kim Jin-ho watched the first contact proceedings through the shuttle's video link. Around him, his team recorded every moment of this historic meeting, but his attention focused on the alien commander's story as it slowly emerged through careful translation. "There was a plague on our world long ago," Velthanor explained, as human medics tended to his weakened crew. a disease that killed our children. In desperation, our healers learned to take life energy from the already dying and use it to save the young. We saved our species, but the galaxy never forgave us. Dr. Silthara, the Cathari medical officer, was too weak to stand without support. When human medic Corporal Wang Sunho approached to help her, she instinctively pulled back. "I will hurt you," she whispered. "Our touch drains life from others." "Let me scan you first," Dr. Park Minha interrupted. She ran her medical scanner over Silthara's trembling form and shook her head. "No, you won't hurt anyone. You're dying from energy starvation. Your people need contact with living beings to maintain balance, don't you?" Silthara nodded weakly. "We have been alone for so long, cut off from all other life. We fade slowly, without connection to others." Wang Sunho, ignoring the warnings, gently took Silthara's glowing hand in his own. Instead of feeling drained, he experienced a strange tingling sensation, like electricity flowing between them. Silthara's skin brightened, and she stood a little straighter. "Incredible," breathed Dr. Park Minha. "You're not parasites at all. You're symbiotic. Contact with other living beings energizes you both." Within hours, all 12 surviving Kethari had been transferred to the human shuttle. As they recovered in the medical bay, eating human food and breathing clean air for the first time in months, their skin grew brighter and their musical voices grew stronger. The celebration was interrupted by an urgent message from Earth Command. A massive fleet had just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. The ships bore the markings of the Galactic Coalition. "This is Ambassador Thalgrim of the Hegemony Council," the transmission began. "We have detected the presence of quarantined Kethari in your system. You will surrender these dangerous parasites immediately or face the consequences." Dr. Kim Jinho looked at the alien refugees in their medical bay. Velthanar was teaching a human child how to pronounce Kethari words while Dr. Silthara worked alongside human doctors, sharing knowledge that could revolutionize medicine. These were not monsters. These were people who had been lied about for thousands of years. "Send a message to Ambassador Thalgrim," Jinho ordered. "Tell him the Cathari are under human protection now. If he wants them, he'll have to go through us." The communications officer stared at him in shock. "Sir, that's declaring war on the entire Galactic Coalition." Jinho watched Velthanar help the human child with pronunciation, both of them laughing at the musical sounds. Sometimes, he realized, doing the right thing meant standing up to bullies, no matter how big they were. "Then, I guess we're at war," he said quietly. The emergency session of the United Earth Assembly had been going for 6 hours. Representatives from every nation sat in heated debate while outside. Coalition warships gathered like storm clouds at the edge of the solar system. President Yoon Sejin watched the arguments with growing frustration. Fear was winning over compassion. "We cannot fight the entire galaxy," shouted the representative from Australia. "These aliens bring nothing but trouble. We should hand them over and avoid war." "They are refugees seeking help," countered the delegate from Brazil. "What kind of people would we be if we abandoned them now?" In the medical bay of Luna Station, Commander Velthanar listened to the human debates through the translation system. His people had heard similar arguments before, always ending the same way. Fear always won. Hope always died. "They will give us to the coalition," he said quietly to Dr. Silthara. "We should not blame them. No species has ever stood against the hegemony and survived." Dr. Park Minha overheard their conversation. "You don't know humans very well," she said with a small smile. "We're stubborn when we think something is right." The debate in the assembly hall fell silent as President Yoon Sejin stood to speak. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber and across the communication networks to every human settlement in the solar system. "I have listened to your arguments," she began. "I understand your fears. The coalition threatens us with economic destruction, military action, and isolation from galactic society. These are real dangers. Velthanar closed his eyes, preparing to hear the words of abandonment he had heard so many times before. But I have also met these Cathari people, President Yoon continued. I have seen Dr. Silthara work alongside our doctors to heal a child who was dying from cancer. I have watched Commander Velthanar teach our linguists about peaceful communication across species barriers. These are not monsters. These are people who need help. She paused, looking around the silent chamber. The Coalition calls them soul devourers and demands we treat them as criminals. But our own scientists have proven this is a lie. The Cathari are healers, not parasites. They have been persecuted for 3,000 years based on false information. In his flagship at the edge of the system, Coalition Ambassador Thalgrim watched the human broadcast with growing anger. His species, the hegemony, had controlled the galaxy for millennia through fear and careful manipulation of information. These primitive humans were threatening everything with their naive compassion. The humans must be taught their place, he told his military commander. Prepare for a demonstration of power. Target their outer settlements first. Back in the assembly hall, President Yoon Sejin made the decision that would change human history forever. I hereby declare Earth and all human territories to be sanctuary worlds for the Cathari people. They are granted full citizenship and protection under human law. Any attack on them is an attack on humanity itself. The chamber erupted in shocked voices, but the president continued. I call for a full mobilization of the Earth Defense Fleet. We will not hand over innocent refugees to their persecutors, regardless of the cost. Admiral Han Minji received the mobilization order aboard the flagship engine. Around her, the small human fleet prepared for battle against impossible odds. Earth could muster only 67 combat vessels against the Coalition's force of 800 warships. Admiral asked Captain Song Hoonwoo of the destroyer Daegu, how do we fight a force this large? Carefully, Admiral Han replied, and with the knowledge that we're protecting people who cannot protect themselves. In the research labs of Luna Station, Dr. Kim Ginho worked frantically with Cathari scientists to understand their abilities. What they discovered amazed everyone. Cathari empathic healing could cure diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. Their touch could accelerate bone repair, reduce inflammation, and even help damaged brain tissue regenerate. This partnership could benefit both our species enormously, Dr. Jinho explained to the military commanders. Human technology could restore their dying worlds, while their medical knowledge could eliminate most human diseases. Dr. Silthara demonstrated by healing engineer Lee Dong-yuk's chronic back injury with a simple touch of her glowing hand. The human medics watched in wonder as years of pain disappeared in seconds. We offer this freely, Velthanar told the assembled humans. Not as payment for protection, but as friends, sharing gifts with friends. The first Coalition probe ships crossed into the outer solar system just as the human fleet finished its deployment. Admiral Han Minji had positioned her forces among the asteroid belts and near the gas giant Jupiter, using the natural obstacles as defensive positions. This is Admiral Han Minji of the Earth Defense Fleet, she broadcast to the Coalition forces. You are in human territory without permission. Turn back now, or face the consequences. Ambassador Thalgrim's reply was filled with contempt. Primitive humans, you cannot stop the power of the Coalition. Surrender the parasites, or watch your worlds burn. In the medical bay where Cathari refugees worked alongside human doctors, a small girl named Kim Soo-jin watched Dr. Silthara heal her grandmother's arthritis. The old woman cried with joy as she moved her fingers without pain for the first time in 20 years. Are the bad aliens going to take you away? Soo-jin asked innocently. Dr. Silthara knelt down to the child's level. The humans have promised to protect us, and humans, I have learned, keep their promises. As the first shots of the war lit up the darkness of space, humanity stood united in defense of beings they barely knew, proving that sometimes the right choice was also the hardest choice. The first battle began at dawn, Earth time. Coalition probe ships tried to scan human defenses, but Captain Song Hyunwoo was ready for them. His destroyer Daegu had been hiding behind a large asteroid, engines cold and silent. When the alien scouts came close enough, he fired everything at once. The coalition ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. But for every enemy ship destroyed, 5 more appeared to take its place. The human fleet was badly outnumbered, and everyone knew it. All ships. This is Admiral Han Minji. Her voice crackled over the communication system. Remember what we're fighting for. These people came to us for help, and we don't abandon our own. On Luna Station, the Coalition began their psychological warfare campaign. Giant screens throughout human space showed horrifying images of Cathari supposedly attacking other species. The narrator's voice was cold and mechanical as it described centuries of Cathari crimes, but the propaganda backfired badly. Human journalist Bang Ji-hoon had been investigating the claims for weeks. His documentary aired simultaneously across Earth's networks, revealing the truth behind the Coalition's lies. These massacre sites don't match Cathari technology, Bang explained, pointing to energy weapon burns on buildings. The Cathari have never possessed weapons like this, but the hegemony has been using these exact same weapons for thousands of years. The evidence was overwhelming. False records, fabricated witnesses, even faked archaeological sites. The Coalition had been lying about the Cathari for millennia, using fear to justify stealing their resource-rich worlds. In the asteroid belt, the real fighting had begun. Coalition Admiral Krexval commanded his fleet with traditional military precision. His ships formed perfect battle lines, following ancient rules of engagement that had worked for thousands of years. But humans didn't know these rules. Commander Oh Tae-young led his corvette squadron in a ramming attack that horrified the Coalition officers. Human ships crashed into enemy vessels at full speed, causing massive damage even as they destroyed themselves. These humans fight like wild animals, Admiral Krexval complained to his staff. They have no honor, no respect for proper warfare. What the Coalition didn't understand was that humans saw this as a desperate fight for survival. Honor meant nothing when you were protecting refugees from genocide. The battle turned strange when Dr. Silthara made an unexpected discovery. Working in the medical bay of the command ship Incheon, she suddenly gasped and grabbed Admiral Han Mingi's arm. The enemy crews, she whispered urgently. I can feel their emotions through their ship's hulls. They're afraid. Many don't want to fight. Admiral Han stared at the Cathari healer. You can sense what they're feeling. Fear, confusion, doubt. Dr. Silthara nodded. The younger species were told you humans are dangerous monsters. But seeing you defend us has confused them. They don't understand why monsters would protect other monsters. This information changed everything. Admiral Han began targeting ships crewed by species that Dr. Silthara sensed were wavering. Instead of destroying them, human forces disabled their engines and then did something completely unexpected. Rescue ships approached the damaged Coalition vessels, offering medical aid. Captain Lee Juwan's medical cruiser, Seoul Hope, docked with a crippled Coalition destroyer. The alien crew prepared to fight to the death, but instead of soldiers, human medics entered their ship, carrying medical supplies and stretchers. Behind the humans came Dr. Silthara and 3 other Cathari healers. The Coalition wounded watched in amazement as the beings they had been told were evil monsters worked desperately to save their lives. Dr. Silthara knelt beside a dying Coalition Marine, her glowing hands stopping his internal bleeding, while human medics stabilized his broken bones. Why? The Marine whispered in his native language. Why save enemies? Dr. Silthara smiled sadly as the translator converted her words. Because you are not our enemy. Fear is our enemy. Lies are our enemy. But you are just someone who needs help. Word of the rescue spread through the Coalition fleet faster than battle reports. Crew members on dozens of ships began questioning their orders. If the Cathari were really dangerous parasites, Why were they healing Coalition soldiers? The breaking point came on the 5th day of battle. The Coalition dreadnought Eternal Dominion suffered a catastrophic reactor failure during a human torpedo attack. The massive ship began venting atmosphere and radiation. Its crew trapped and dying. Coalition Admiral Crexwell ordered his rescue ships to maintain distance until the radiation cleared. Standard procedure called for waiting 6 hours until it was safe to approach. But human rescue ships approached immediately, their crews wearing radiation suits and carrying emergency life support equipment. Leading them was Dr. Sulthera, her empathic abilities allowing her to sense exactly where the surviving crew members were trapped. The image broadcast across the galaxy showed a Cathari healer cradling a dying Coalition officer, her glowing touch easing his pain as human medics worked to save his life. The officer was from the same species that had ordered the Cathari genocide 3,000 years earlier. As Dr. Silthara worked to heal beings who had come to destroy her people, tears flowed down her translucent cheeks. But she never stopped trying to save them. The Coalition fleet began to fall apart. 3 entire species withdrew their ships, declaring they would not fight alongside those who lied about genocide. Others demanded a ceasefire to investigate the historical claims. By the 10th day, formal peace talks had begun. The siege of Seoul was over, but the real battle for truth was just beginning. The investigation lasted 3 months and changed everything. Teams of archaeologists, historians, and forensic scientists from 17 different species worked together to uncover the truth about the Cathari. What they found shocked the galaxy. Dr. Kim Jin-ho stood before the reformed Galactic Assembly, presenting evidence that had been buried for thousands of years. Behind him, massive screens showed archaeological sites that told a different story than the official records. The Cathari were never aggressors, he explained to the packed auditorium. They were healers who became refugees during a plague outbreak. The hegemony attacked their medical ships and then blamed the Cathari for defending themselves. In the audience, former Coalition Admiral Crexwell watched the presentation with growing shame. He had spent his entire career enforcing lies, hunting people who had never committed the crimes they were accused of. The evidence was overwhelming. Fabricated historical records, planted artifacts, even fake burial sites created to support the genocide narrative. The hegemony had wanted the Cathari worlds for their rare energy crystals, and had simply invented reasons to take them. President Yoon Se-jin took the podium as the investigation concluded. The Terra Compact is founded on a simple principle, she announced. Judge beings by their actions, not by lies others tell about them. The new alliance grew quickly. 18 species that had been labeled as dangerous by the Coalition joined the Terra Compact within the first month. They included the crystal-singing Veldari, the shape-shifting Morphin, and the technologically gifted Zephyr. All had been persecuted by the hegemony for resources or abilities that threatened their control. On Earth, the first integrated medical centers opened with amazing results. Human patient Park Taejun had been paralyzed in an accident 5 years earlier, when Cathari healer Ethanara placed her glowing hands on his damaged spine. He felt sensation return to his legs for the first time since his injury. The human spinal cord can regenerate, she explained to the amazed doctors. It simply needs the proper energy patterns to guide the healing process. Meanwhile, human engineers worked with Cathari scientists to restore their dying homeworld. Engineer Lee Dong-yuk led the terraforming project that brought Kethver's atmosphere back to life. Massive fusion reactors replaced their failing sun's energy, while atmospheric processors cleaned centuries of pollution. The real breakthrough came when Dr. Silthara discovered that human emotional patterns were uniquely compatible with Cathari empathic abilities. Unlike other species, humans could maintain prolonged contact with Cathari without experiencing energy drain. We complement each other perfectly, she told the research team. Human technology can restore worlds, while Cathari healing can eliminate disease and injury. Together, we are stronger than either species alone. But the most important changes happened in small moments throughout human space. In a hospital on Mars, Kethari healer Morvanth taught human child Kim Sujin how to help her grandmother's arthritis by simply holding her hand with focused intent. The little girl's natural empathy, combined with Kethari technique, created a gentle healing touch at the Luna Station cafeteria. Commander Velthanar and engineer Lee Dong-yuk worked together on ship designs that incorporated both human durability and Kethari energy efficiency. Their friendship had grown from mutual respect into genuine affection. "Your people saved us," Velthanar said one evening as they watched Earth rise over Luna's horizon. "No," Lee Dong-yuk replied with a smile. "We saved each other." The colony ship New Sol launched 6 months after first contact, carrying 10,000 humans and 3,000 Kethari to establish the first integrated settlement on Kepler 44 to be Captain Park. Minha watched the mixed crew working together with quiet satisfaction. Her chief medical officer was Dr. Cho Soo-min, working alongside Kethari healer Seleneth. The engineering department mixed human innovation with Kethari energy manipulation techniques. Even the ship's children played together, human and Kethari youngsters learning each other's languages and customs. The breakthrough moment came when 5-year-old Kim Min-soo fell and scraped his knee badly during a game in the ship's recreation area. His Kethari friend Ithamel immediately knelt beside him and placed small, glowing hands over the wound. The injury healed within seconds, leaving only smooth skin behind. Both children laughed, as if this was the most normal thing in the world. "That's our future," Captain Park Min-ah said to her first officer. "A generation that sees healing touch as natural as a bandage." The New Sol reached Kepler 44 to be after a 3-month journey. The planet was beautiful but challenging, with dense forests and active volcanic regions. Human technology terraformed the harsh areas while Kethari healers helped the colonists adapt to new atmospheric conditions and unfamiliar plant life. Within a year, the settlement was thriving. Human farmers grew crops enhanced by Kethari agricultural techniques that worked with plant energy patterns instead of against them. Kethari artists created sculptures that responded to human emotions with changing colors and sounds. As Dr. Kim Gin-ho walked through the colony's central plaza, 2 years after first contact, he smiled at the sight of human and Kethari children playing together, their parents working side by side in shops and offices. Street musicians played fusion compositions that blended human instruments with Kethari harmonic healing frequencies. The galaxy had called the Kethari monsters and tried to destroy them, but sometimes, he realized, the greatest strength came from protecting those who others abandoned. In choosing compassion over fear, humanity had found not just allies, but family. The stars above seemed brighter now, full of infinite possibilities for friendship among the cosmos.